So, I'd like to start with a very, very simple question. What does your resume say about you? I'm not talking about the organizations, the responsibilities, the designations, but you. Can you see yourself in it? Do you think someone else will be able to? So, here's the truth that I've learned. A resume isn't just a piece of paper or parchment. It is a mirror and a clear message. When we change the way it's written, we change the way people see themselves and are perceived by others. Today, it's been 5 long years, 1825 days, that I just don't help people write resumes. I help them redefine their unique journeys. So, I'd like to start with this moment from my past. One instance I'd like to talk about. Two words that strike fear in most entrepreneurs: total failure. Yeah, that's the word. And that's what my first startup was. It had nothing to do with resume writing. It was on a creative aspect where I marketed, I acquired clients, I taught them art all by myself. But within 1 year of our inception, we failed. No clients, no traction, and no idea what went wrong. After that, for the longest period of time, I was unemployed. Finally, I decided one day, okay, I have to do something in my life. Let me write my resume and try applying for a job. Might land up somewhere and do something with my life. So I remember this so vividly. One afternoon, I sat with a blank Word document, and that's exactly what happened. I was blank. I froze, as if I was invisible. I had done nothing great in my life. So, in my head, I was a strategist, an entrepreneur, a leader, an artist, motivating people through creativity. But on paper, I was a woman who invested her time, her efforts, and her money, but couldn't keep her company afloat. I remember I sat trying to pen down my resume for hours and hours. I wrote my responsibilities, my job descriptions, but somewhere I felt it was not correct. I felt unconfident of my own existence, my own being. I was like, do you think I will ever even get a job somewhere? I remember I was like, okay, you know what? My resume does not talk about my learnings, my creativity, my grit. It was technically accurate, like perfectly fine, but emotionally it was hollow, as if I couldn't see myself in it. I remember spending hours and hours rewriting my resume over and over and over again, not to hide the failure, but to tell the truth better. Finally, one fine day, I remember this moment in my life. I was sitting at night, snuggled in my blanket, crying, on the verge of depression, not sure of what am I doing next. I asked myself this very, very simple question: what do I want the world to know me as? Who is Pooja Anandani? The answer was quite simple, and it came within a span. It came within seconds. I don't want people to know whatever I had done. I want the world to know who Pooja Anandani is becoming. And that was like what lit a spark or a fire in me. That was my first ever real brainstorming session. I remember post that I started working on my own self again and again and again, trying to better my own ways of showcasing who am I remember that one session of brainstorm to breakthrough that literally changed my life forever. I remember it was that night where I stood in front of the mirror and I spoke to myself after wiping my tears and getting up to life. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, I will get up after I fall. I will walk, I will run, I will crawl. I will set my goals and achieve them all." And that is what built a confidence in me. I also found my spiritual anchor in Nichiren Buddhism, a practice that I started following for my spiritual alignment. And there's this one quote by Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, the Buddhist philosopher, that I'd like to share here. It said, resolving to take action is a proof that you're progressing. That moment was just like, you know, a moment of a breakthrough in my own life where I chose to stand up, chose to ask better questions, and chose to take the leap forward. Today, it's been so many years that I have been working with so many different sets of people. I have been working with different entrepreneurs, with different interns, CXOs, CEOs, executives of companies. And the one thing I've realized is that people don't struggle with what they've done. They honestly struggle with how to own it or how to showcase it. It is difficult. You know, people know, okay, I have done this, I have done this, but in their lives, it feels so ordinary. You know, this is like my daily routine, it's my daily task that I'm doing. But when you actually put it down on paper, it seems humongous, like a gigantic leap that people have taken, and most people fear to do so. So I remember when I was working with four of these individual professionals, and each of them was brilliant in their own ways. I'd like to highlight upon these four amazing people that I encountered, and how we changed their life for the better. The first was a teacher. She came to me and she said, "You know what? I am just a teacher." But that teacher was converted into someone who was a strategist. She was empowering the youth through education and she was helping the future of India. Another woman was, there was another lady, a woman, who wanted to join back work after a maternity leave. But she was so conscious of, will I get a job? Do you think someone will hire me? I've been out of the market for very, very long. But that was shown as a woman who built herself. She reinvented herself. She built out on her resilience and she mastered her time management abilities. Another professional, a 22-year core strong experience in finance, working in the same organization for 22 long years. Finally, he got laid off. He didn't know what to do in life. He froze. I remember he sitting right next to me and tears were tinkling down his eyes, where he didn't know what to do, what to say, how to showcase what he is. And that professional was converted as someone who built long term relationships, a matter of trust and long term value creating in any organization he would go to next. Finally, talking about a CEO's profile. He's ticked every possible box. He's achieved all the accolades, all the heights, everything you could ask for, be it the money, be it the fame, be it the name, everything. What next for him? He didn't ask what's next because he knew, he's reached that height. He asked me, what am I leaving behind? And that was converted, that resume was converted into someone who is not just a leader, not just a visionary himself, but someone who is bringing up future leaders of this country. So he is not the one who just sees himself in a mirror. So a leader is not someone who just sees himself in a mirror. He is someone who sees the people he is leaving behind, who are empowering the future of India. Talking about eminent personalities, talking about Mr. Ratan Tata. Imagine the legacy he's left behind. Talking about Mr. K.V. Kamath. He is known as the CEO maker of the Indian banking industry. With all of these four examples, I actually came to terms with the fact that a resume doesn't just help an individual get a job, doesn't help professionals get a job. It's not just, okay, you know what, I want to get here and I'm preparing a document. That's not how it is. A resume actually helps people redefine themselves. And during this whole process, I actually realized a resume writing is not just like an admin task. It is an identity transformation. So, talking about these four instances that I spoke, today it's been 5 long years. I have helped people across 30 different countries, 25 plus different industries, including oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, media, advertisement, hospitality, education, non-profit. But I take most pride in talking about 500 plus successful career transitions that we've done. As a matter of fact, someone who's returned to work after very long to someone who wants to move from media to pharmaceuticals, have a complete change in the industry. But that is only possible when you trust your own self. You have the courage to ask better questions. So, with these 5 years of mine, I came down to three important learnings of my life. And they were: one, you do not need a resume to fit into a chat box. You do not need it just to fit a job description. Finally, the fact is that every resume is different. Every resume has a story worth telling. Every individual has a story that is worth getting honored. Secondly, you cannot really talk about a resume until you've not faced it. You cannot write your resume until you've not faced it on your own. So, what happens is, here is the moment, here is the eureka moment for your own self, where you have to actually have the courage to ask questions of, you know what, have I written my resume properly? What is that I'm really, really proud of? What is it that I'm downplaying? Am I hiding some facts on the resume? Am I not sharing enough? Do you think my career goal where I want to go is actually accurate for me? And will I be happy in it? Finally, the third is your mind. A positive mind is a blueprint to getting the job that you desire. So, what happens is, the moment you put in that positive energy from someone I was to being a nobody, not sure what I wanted to do, where I was going to go, because I was not good enough, to a woman who was the protagonist of her own life, boss lady, empowering people in India and abroad. The moment you have a shift in your perspective, that is exactly when your life heads in the positive direction. Finally, I'm going to leave you back with a very, very simple question all over again. If someone actually sees your resume, would they be able to see you in it? And most importantly, will you be able to see yourself inside of it? Don't wait for a job description to come. Don't wait for, oh my God, an opportunity, and that's when I'll start preparing my resume. Start thinking about it today. This is your moment. This is a sign that you can collect everything that you've done and make it a version of you that people will be proud to have in their lives. Finally, a resume is not just a piece of paper or parchment or just a document, or, it's like a mandate in an organization. But it is a paper that defines you as an individual, a journey that you have completed over and over, and the one that you're going to be embracing in the future. Finally, the fact that, a breakthrough is only possible when you brainstorm. And that brainstorm will not come just in an instant. It takes time. And that moment when it comes, it's all going to be worth it. I know the brainstorming is messy, it's complicated, you want to go back to what's comfortable. But the moment you decide to take that leap, you decide to trust the process and not give up, that's exactly when your glorious, glorious breakthrough will arrive. Thank you so much. Thank you.